The Darling family children, Wendy, Michael, and John, prepare for bed under the supervision of the nurse Nana as their parents prepare for an evening out. Hey, parents.
Mr. Darling.
When Mr. Darling expresses his uncertainty over the value of a dog as a nurse, Mrs. Darling reveals that Nana recently protected the children from an intruder, a little boy who escaped through the nursery window, leaving his shadow behind. After a fuss over Michael's medicine, Mr. Darling collides with Nana. When the children show more concern for Nana than for him, Mr. Darling banishes Nana to the yard. Mrs. Darling tucks the children into their beds, lights their nightlight, and leaves for the evening. Upon Mrs. Darling's exit, the nursery windows open, admitting Tinkerbell, followed by Peter Pan. Finding his shadow, Peter tries to reattach it. When the shadow refuses to stick, Peter begins to cry, waking Wendy. After introduction, Wendy assesses the situation and sews Peter's shadow back on for him. He is so pleased with himself that he overlooks Wendy's contribution and revels in the cleverness of me. Wendy offers Peter a kiss. He sticks out his hands to accept. Perplexed, she gives him her thimble. In exchange, he gives her a kiss, an acorn button from his clothes, which she puts on a chain around her neck. Peter tells Wendy that he ran away when he was born because he did not want to grow up, and now lives among the fairies in a very special place, Neverland. He reveals that he has come often to the Darling nursery to hear stories, and then goes back to tell them to his companions, the lost boys. After Wendy tells him the ending of Cinderella, he begins to leave. Wendy prevents his departure by promising to tell many stories to him and the boys. He agrees to take Wendy and her brothers to Neverland. They wake John and Michael as Peter reveals the secret of flying, a sprinkle of fairy dust and happy thoughts. And soon the four, along with Tinkerbell, are off over London to Neverland.
Should I stop recording here? Should I stop recording here?
Scene 2. Now keep going.
Okay.
The scene shifts now. No, you can be different people now. The scene shifts now to Neverland, where Tiger Lily dances with an offering of a basket of fruit. It is hijacked yet again by the Lost Boys. This is a game that they often play. The boys argue briefly, then flee when they hear the pirates approaching. We now meet Captain Hook and his first mate, me. Hook reveals that Peter Pan is his mortal enemy, as it was he who cut off Hook's hand and fed it to the crocodile, which now follows Hook everywhere, hoping to eat more of him. Who's the crocodile? Fortunately, the croc also swallowed a ticking clock, which warns Hook of his approach. Accidentally discovering the underground home of Peter and the Lost Boys, Hook demands music to inspire him as he plots away to get Peter. Hearing the tick-tock of a clock, Hook and the pirates flee. The Lost Boys come out of hiding. They are confronted by the Indians who demand revenge. Curly sights the Wendy bird. The Indians hide. Tinkerbell enters.
Wait,
Jealous
okay.
of Peter's attention toward Wendy, she tells the boys that Peter wants them to shoot the Wendy down. Toodles fires an arrow. Wendy falls to the ground, an arrow in her heart. Realizing their error, the boys try to hide Wendy. Peter arrives with Michael and John. Peter arrives with Michael and John and announces that he has brought them all a mother. The boys reveal Wendy to Peter. Peter takes Toodles' arrow. It's in her heart. And attempts to stab him with it, but is unable. Wendy's hand has caught his arm. Catch him, Wendy. Peter realizes that Wendy was saved by his kiss. He banishes Tinkerbell for a week, and then leaves the boys in building a respectable little house for their new mother, Wendy. Wendy awakens and agrees to be the boy's mother, if Peter will agree to be the father. He does. When they discover a cake left by the underhanded pirates in an attempt to poison the boys, Wendy deems it too damp and rich and disposes of it. Before Wendy tells them the conclusion of Cinderella, Peter gives the boys a fatherly lesson. End of scene.
This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever saw.
It's so funny. I love it.
Okay.
Get the pillows out of the way.
On another part of the island, Hook, let somebody else be Hook, expresses his frustration at the arrival of a mother for the boy. He once again begins to plot Peter's demise.
What's the enemy crap? I just put myself
End of scene. Peter and Wendy arrive at Marooner's Rock. Wendy approaches a mermaid. And then tries to pull her into the lagoon. Peter saves her, and the mermaid swims away. He sees pirates approaching. He and Wendy hide as Smee and Starkey enter with their prisoner Tiger Lily. They plan to leave her on the rock to slowly drown as the tide comes in. Peter, mimicking Hook's voice, orders the men to set her free, which they do. Hook arrives. Smee assures him that they have freed the prisoner as ordered. Knowing he has given no such order, Hook calls out to the spirit of the lagoon. Peter replies in Hook's voice, eventually being tricked into revealing himself. Peter and Hook fight. Peter rescuing Wendy from the clutches of the pirates. As Peter crows over his victory, Hook sneaks up on him and wounds him twice. Unable to fly, Peter forces Wendy to fly away and leave him behind. Unaware that Tiger Lily and an Indian have come to his rescue, Peter admits to die will be an awfully big adventure.
This is almost 10 minutes.
Awesome.
Back in the home underground, Wendy tells the boys the endings of their favorite stories. They are interrupted by the arrival of the Indians with Peter. The Indians and the boys celebrate their new friendship. The Indians go above ground to watch for pirates, as Wendy, Peter, and the boys settle in for the night. The lullaby makes Michael and John homesick. Wendy feels that their mother is waiting for them and decides that they must leave. She offers to take everyone with them, assuring them that her parents will adopt them all. Peter reluctantly gives the boys permission to leave, but will not go with them. He disagrees with Wendy about mothers, having returned to his own mother to find a new child sleeping in his bed. He chooses to remain behind so that he will always be a little boy and have fun. He dispatches Tinkerbell to lead the children home.
I can't see. They're always standing in front of who I'm trying to
And you
get.
have to walk around a little bit. Above them, the pirates attack and conquer the Indians. They beat a tom-tom, tricking the children into believing that the coast is clear. Wendy makes Peter promise to take his medicine and to come for her every year to do his spring cleaning. He lays down and falls asleep. As the boys and Wendy leave the home under the ground, they are captured by the pirates. Hook sneaks in and, finding Peter asleep, poisons his medicine. He exits as Tinkerbell enters, wakes Peter, and tells him the terrible news. As Peter sharpens his dagger for a fight, Tinkerbell tries to warn him about the poison. Not believing her, Peter attempts to drink the medicine as he promised. Tinkerbell beats him to it and becomes deathly ill. Peter pleads with the audience to save Tinkerbell's life by clapping to show that they believe in fairies. Tinkerbell is saved, and she and Peter go off to rescue Wendy. End of scene.
I swear.
On the deck of the Jolly Roger, the pirates drunkenly celebrate. Hook glories in his villainy. Hook tells the boys that they will be forced to walk the plank, but that he has room for 2 new cabin boys. He tries to recruit Michael and John, who refuse on the grounds that they could no longer be loyal subjects of the king. Wendy is brought up on deck as the familiar sound of a ticking clock is heard. As Hook hides, Peter, carrying a clock, and the Indians sneak on board and go below. Hook re-emerges when the tick-tock fades and orders one of the pirates to go below for his lash. They hear a scream, followed by a crow. Several other pirates follow with the same result. Hook goes to investigate and returns immediately, his light extinguished. The pirates exclaim that the ship is bewitched because there is a girl on board. As Hook turns on Wendy, Peter reveals himself, and there is a great battle, ending with the reappearance of the crocodile and Hook being forced overboard. The ship erupts in a celebration of victory.
Ouchies.
Scene dissolved. The lost boy and Peter, accompanied by Wendy and the Indians, drag the pirates with a rope. Peter is celebrated by everyone.
He's Peter.
End of scene.
I don't know who to.
Way to attack Peter,
We
Baton.
return to the Darling nursery, where Mrs. Darling, no, just one person so far, where Mrs. Darling sits looking out the window, as Nana turns down the children's bed, as she has done every night since they disappeared. Mr. Darling has taken up residence in Nana's kennel. The children appear at the window and rush into their mother's arms. Wendy asks her parents to adopt all the lost boys and Smee, and they agree. Wendy sees Peter at the window and begs him not to forget to come for her. End of scene. We return to the nursery years later. A child, Jane, is sleeping. A grown-up Wendy is sitting in a chair by the fire reading. Peter flies in the window, come to bring Wendy back for spring cleaning. He discovers, at first sadly, then angrily, that Wendy has grown up. As Wendy leaves the nursery, he begins to cry, waking Jane. Jane tells him that she knows who he is and that she has been waiting for him. As Jane begins to fly, Wendy re-enters. Peter invites Jane to come with him, and they fly off as Wendy watches them go.